Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
Well, the master of language, that's what I call him. He absolutely is a phenomenal, I want to call him a linguist. I have so many words for him, but Richard LEDERER is an author of many, many, many books, and he's a columnist. He actually writes a column for us every month, and he also writes it for other people. So he's calling in from San Diego, California. Thank you for being on our show, Richard.
And thank you for having me in your pages. You know, that's an extension of my mission of teachership. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, teachership. Did you ever, I don't really know this, were you actually a teacher of this? Tell us that.
Well,
I don't know that
exactly
background.
this, but I was an English teacher at a pretty famous church boarding school in New England where they're freezing, although I guess it's a little cold with you, called St. Paul's School. And I did that for almost 3 decades. I have great relationships with my former students, and it's very nice.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's great. That's why. Yeah, all right. Okay, so now you're on your own doing all other kinds of things besides playing tennis and being a famous poker player like your kids and all. But let's talk about this eyes habit. That's really important, I think, for our listeners.
Absolutely. The eyes are a very important part of our body, and we happen to be, that is, in January, National Eye Month. And this is a special time to promote healthy vision. Sight is the sense that people most fear losing, and yet few of us really look after our eyes and really know when we should go get the appointments and change glasses and so on. So I'll start with a couple of puns. Do you know why, ANITA, regular eye care helps you to live longer? Because
no.
when you get it, you have a better chance to dilate.
Oh, thank you, dilate. Okay, I got that. Sorry, you didn't say it quickly enough.
And then here's another one that will lead us into the greatest etymology on eyes, because it's amazing. See, what happens is you think and step back the number of idioms, of sayings, proverbs, phrases, expressions that have the eyes in it. The mind's eye, and in the twinkling of an eye, eyes on the prize, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Love is blind. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Out of sight, out of mind. The night has 1,000 eyes. The eyes are bigger than the stomach. And, of course, the eyes have it, but that's really a pun. So don't give me the stink eye, or turn a blind eye to me. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, and so on. So here's another pun. Have you heard, ANITA, about the cross-eyed teacher?
The cross-eyed teacher, no.
She couldn't control her pupils.
That's good.
Now, there the pun is on pupils, the usually elementary-level students.
Yes.
And, of course, that part of the eye. But why would it be the same word? And here is the answer. In ancient Rome, the pupilla, the doll, the small person, was the diminutive of pupa, girl. So when the Romans looked deep into each other's eyes, as we do today, they used the same word for the tiny doll-like images of themselves reflected there, and they called that part of the eye where the image could be seen the pupil, and hence it was originally a word for a small person, a doll, but then it became for part of the eye. So that's just one of many examples. You notice the word autopsy has ops in it.
Yes.
And you wonder, what's that with the eye? Well, auto means self, and eye means, ops means eye, as in optometrist, ophthalmologist, and so on. And so it's see for yourself. That is, the coroner conducts an autopsy.
Right.
so that she or he can see for her or himself.
Right.
The word daisy is day's eye, the eye of the day, because it's looks up at the sun, so to speak, and maybe looks a little bit like an eyeball as it looks up. So that is where we get it. Daylights, beat the daylights out of someone. That's an expression for the eye. That is, it absorbs the light of day, and for hundreds of years now, we have had that, and that is daylight, and so on. So many more. Supercilious means to raise the eyebrow. A Yiddish proverb tells us that the eyes are the windows of the soul. Well, window started out as the wind's eye. That actually means that, the wind's eye, the idea being that it gave ventilation to the homes. You know, we are used to good ventilation, but a century and more ago, people lived in terribly ventilated homes, and they didn't have enough windows, and there would be smoke and the odor of, you know, human beings, damp fur from animals inside. So you needed the wind's eye to get that out of there, which we do have now. We have windows. So that's all about the eyes, and we celebrate National every year Eye Month right now.
And now what's going to happen, every time I hear of something, I'm going to think of you to do with the eye.
And that is exactly what I want. In other words, right. It's like with this names book I'm writing, and we'll certainly talk about that on some future shows. I'll get the first copies in May, a book called The Joy of Names, and everything you'd ever want to know about names. And every time somebody says something that works in what I want to do, I put it in, and it just incrementally grows. I am really excited about it. And the other thing is, Anita, I think that obsession is a wonderful gift in life, and I certainly am obsessed by language. I mean, not enough to keep me from playing poker or tennis, and that's a good combination, those two, but I just love being in the thrall of the writing. And as a little transition, if we have time, and if not, cut me off, Winston Churchill, a pretty fine writer in his own right, said, when you write a book, it begins as a trifle, a bauble, an amusement. Then, and the order is interesting here, it becomes your mistress, and then it becomes your master, and then it becomes your tyrant. Well, this names book was my tyrant. In about the second week it had switched over, and I said, boy, is this going to be a book. and it has been so much fun. But of course, Mr. Churchill, as we speak, a wonderful film is out, and it is called Darkest Hour, and it is about Winston Churchill in 1940 as France has fallen, as the British Army trapped at Gallipoli was almost decimated, except for these wonderful crafts from civilians who came out to pick them up. And if England had fallen then, it would have been big trouble with the might of Adolf Hitler in Germany, and the Japanese having allied with them. And I really recommend to everyone that you see it. Gary Oldman, one of our finest actors, is a very convincing and not over the top Winnie, Winston Churchill, and Kristen Scott Thomas, the wonderful British actress, playing Clemmy, and that's Clementine, the wife. You see their wonderful relationship. And if I can, I would like to talk about Churchill and the English language. Do we have time?
No, we have a lot of time. I want you to do that, but I had a few questions before you went
please,
on.
Yes.
So I saw Dunkirk, but
Yes.
I wasn't as impressed with that movie as I was with The Darkest Hour.
Yes, and I understand, because Dunkirk, first of all, hardly anybody speaks. And that's Christopher Nolan, who's given us some of the Batman films and a bunch of others, and he wanted it to be as realistic as possible. And basically, we're down there with the men, and I would agree, I enjoy Churchill more. First of all, you've got perhaps the greatest orator certainly the greatest orator of the 20th century and possibly the greatest hero. So and a very colorful guy. And so you've got that for starters. And then, of course, it's a little bit later in the war. And filmically, it was fabulously done. Those, almost going down tunnels and then up and
right.
almost black and white in many ways. And that sense of it. And it was just wonderful. So I think it's a shoo-in for a nomination
right.
for Best Picture.
Oh, I think so too.
Best
but
Actor.
Yes, absolutely. But the part that was really very telling was when he was on the subway and decided to talk to everybody.
And wrote down their names. So Mrs. Clark says, "We shall never give up,"
yes.
and all of that. That was fun in the subway. And of course you saw the respect that everybody had for him. And then the king, well, I don't want to give too much away, but the relationship with
yes.
King George, I think
that was that really
Elizabeth
was interesting.
Father.
Exactly.
Yeah, and all of that, and I will. The last, this is not really giving anything away, but the last line that you could barely hear in the whole film was, "He marshaled the English language and sent it in the battle." That happens to be a steal from Kennedy many, many years later, but artistic license, so they put it in the mouth of one of the parliamentarians. But, and this man began life, or early on, with a stutter, with a lisp, and a stutter.
I didn't know that.
And he was a figure of ridicule, but he was, his father said, essentially put him into the Admiralty. He didn't like the military life, and he was able to move to politics through his writing and, those wonderful books, and ultimately through his ability to speak.
And so he was able to cure himself of the stutter.
Yes. He did sure right, but yes, that is correct. He was, and of course you saw how moving the speeches were and how gradually those in Parliament were won over by it.
Right, and I heard the comments again. Oh, here he goes again. He's going to, with the speaking, he's going to win him over with the speaking, right? I heard that.
And then you saw early on, I think the first speech he gave in Parliament, his most famous words, although they have been slightly changed, when he said, "I have nothing to offer you but blood, toil, tears, and sweat," and that's become blood, sweat, and tears. They moved to sweat.
Right.
And then it was just a little bit later, I think it was about a month later, that he added to English oratory one of its finest hours with the statement, "If the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will say this was their finest hour." And that you didn't see in the film.
No.
But here is a guy, and of course, we are so privileged to have these wonderful films that we get to see, and just so wonderfully made, and the greatest actors in the world. My favorite film of 2017 was Hidden Figures.
Yes, that was extraordinary. None of us knew that story.
And
Most
that
people.
Is why it's called Hidden Figures. It was a double meaning on the hidden figures, the elusive math.
Right.
And, here are these African-American women who were able to solve, gravitation, friction, parabolic flight, this, that, and the other thing. But the other is that, of course, these three women, and particularly the mathematician among them, that they were the hidden figures in our history, and nobody knew, sort of, until the book. And then with the movie, of course, now many of us know about these amazing women. I think they're all gone now. I think we lost the last one of them now.
Yeah, but I thought that the last one got on stage when they had Hidden Figures came up for...
Could be. We'll have to check that. And also got a Medal of Honor from Barack Obama.
Yeah, that was
but
great.
I think then she's passed. She was in her 90s.
But, I see. Okay.
I'm not sure. I could
Yeah, that was very, very special. I'm so glad that I got to see all this. Those are the kind of movies I love, really. It works out.
Inspirational and
Yeah.
awfully well directed.
Yes, that's right. We can't forget the directors. But I want to go back to Clementine. Someone I know has her book, a book written, and they said it was fabulous. Have you? And I didn't know. I think you told me that she was an American and his mother was an American.
That's correct.
And that didn't, we didn't know that. But have you read the book Clementine?
No, and I did not know about it until you, my mentor, not my tour
Right.
mentor.
Right. Well, my friend has it. She told me, she said and she loved when we went to see The Darkest Hour, so she's going to loan it to me because I definitely want to read that.
And there was Kristen Scott Thomas playing, a pretty advanced in age woman, and an important woman in our history. And isn't that nice that, you can transition? And, of course, we get this second lives, you, I, and so on. My parents were born in 1894 and 1899, and around that time it was, 46 and a half, admittedly much of it from fatalities in childbirth, but still, now we're at about 80. I think you women are above 80, and here we are. And then here is Kristen Scott Thomas playing that. I was very moved by that. Another one that, is, so many of them are based on a true story, but I really enjoyed Battle of the Sexes, the Billie Jean King.
I didn't get to see that. I wanted to. It came and went very quickly, and I don't know why. I never got to see it.
But, in this day and age, you can get it one way or the other.
Right.
I don't know, Netflix, streaming,
right.
Redbox. Very well done.
Was it?
Well, yes. And actually, I thought that Bobby Riggs was more than Bobby Riggs in this. What is it, Steve? I can't remember his name now, but it begins with an A. But and of course, Emma Stone did a great job with playing Billie Jean. It was very good sense at the time.
Right.
And you just get to meet a lot of folks we knew. Jack Kramer's very big in it. I don't want to be a spoiler, although everybody knows how it turns out. Elizabeth Shue as Mrs. Bobby Riggs did a good job. And Rosie Casals, Margaret Court, they're all in there. Ted Tingling, the designer.
I'm going to get it. Thank you for remember. Yeah, I'm going to have my friend who I'm going to make sure I get to see that. I guess I could get it on, just on YouTube probably. They have a lot of movies on all that.
Really?
Yeah, I'll do something.
This one, it's nice to have a little bigger screen if you can. But,
yeah, right, exactly.
And you, of course, come from a tennis family, and I know a lot of your tennis relatives.
Yeah. In fact, Lil is coming down for tennis in February. She's playing, she's gotten back now that she got her knee in order.
Replaced.
Yeah, so she's going to be doing that again. So let's just, you also said that you were playing poker tonight.
That's right.
You really like poker.
Well, I have a little, all right, so here's a story on that. It is this is Texas Hold'em, and it's the greatest game ever invented, and you're talking to a man who never met a game he didn't like. You may know I played chess as an undergraduate. I've coached chess.
No, I didn't.
Yes, I've written on bridge, and my joke is I used to be a Scrabble champion, but I became incontinent, and I can't move my vowels, and I can't move my vowels anymore.
That's good. That's
Thank
a good
you.
one. I don't think we've ever used that in a column.
Well, no, we never use anything twice on this show, you and I.
No, but we ought to put that in a column somehow.
Well, at any rate, but and at some point, I am the most successful breeder of world-class poker players in history.
Yes.
And Howard Lederer and Annie Duke. And Annie, incidentally, has a major book coming out next month in February from Penguin called Thinking in Bets, and it's about its transactional business, its cognitive psychology, and it's a little bit of poker thinking and statistics and how you live your life, and a whole treatise on decision making. And I'm very proud. It's already a bestseller online through Amazon for business. But at any rate, so I've got two kids who have made $11.5 million, and at some point I said, God, we have 70 million poker players in the U.S., and almost every one of them, anybody playing, is playing Texas Hold'em. So there should be some reverse genetics here. I mean, I've got these two kids, and by the way, the third one, my second daughter, is also a good player. And so I started playing, and I moved up, to pretty high-level games, big buy-ins, and it's going well. But here is my point, and I think a good one to make on the show. Not only has that, it's a combination of statistics, and you'd better know your risk versus reward, or you'll lose your money in a half hour. It'll be all gone. So you have to continually run the risks against the rewards, how much money you can win for your risk. And it's reading other people, what does their posture say, what is their biography. I'm very good at that, and that is the history of the people I'm playing against. So was that last big bet, could it have been a bluff with this person, or does she or he really have something? But here is my point. First of all, I love the competition, and many in our age group are not able to at least go out on the tennis court and hit the ball around. And this is a marvelously competitive, and I call brutally elegant game. And so that's one aspect that I compete. The other is it is outside of my comfort zone, meaning it's quantitative, and most people out there in radio land, in ANITA land, in Boomer land, know that I'm kind of a word person, and I'm not bad at math, but I took the time to learn the math and to apply it. So it's made me better quantitatively, but here is the lesson. It has made me better at what I'm already good at, and I've gotten better. And the reason is in stimulating, developing, growing, so to speak, that other part of my brain. Not only am I better quantitatively, but I can see with this names book, and it's called The Joy of Names, but I can see with it that I'm thinking more widely. It's a lot of moving parts in this book, a lot of what connects with what. And I have felt it for a while since I've been playing poker 3 times a week, incidentally.
Wow.
That I, and sometimes for up to 8 hours, as I did 2 nights ago, Monday night, that I am thinking through more channels. I've built extra channels, and it's never too late for that. And it's because, and I've gone out, and almost everybody I play with, they're very savvy business people, or they're computer experts, or statisticians, that kind of engineers, a lot of engineers in the group, and they all can do the math better, at least to start, but now I can do it as well, and I'm a little better on the humanities side.
Okay, so now I have a question. What does your wife do while you're playing tennis and you're playing poker?
Right, and here is the answer. The answer is she does her thing, and that is genealogy. This is Simone, my lovely wife. She does genealogy. She does just a lot of stuff online, enjoys a lot of television, and so on. And here's why. First of all, I'm a writer, so I am certainly home a lot, because I write from home. But second, I am not one of those speakers or husbands joined at the hip with my wife and vice versa. And from the get-go, we understood that, and that was part of our attraction to each other. Meaning I see speakers and their wives, let's say men, and their wives are with them every time they speak. I would never subject my wife to that. Yes, hey, I've got a new program. Here's what I'm doing it, honey. I'd love you to come to one. But it's her life and her space. And, I'll put it this way. String music is formed by the 2 strings vibrating with a space between them. If they touch, it doesn't work as much. So not to beat the metaphor to death, but we make beautiful music, and we really respect each other's space. So as an example, my wife, Simone, owns a Prius van, kind of a van, a hatchback, and she's been going online, and she sees that there's a website, and you can go out in your Prius, and you never have to go to a hotel. Now, you might have to go to a trailer park every once in a while, because with the hybrid and the electrical part, you can be heated or cooled in it, and you can set up the beds beautifully, and there are hidden drawers, and use only 1 gallon of gas the whole night. So, and the thing is, when she said, gee, I'm thinking of this, I said, honey, that would be great. And she said, I'm just so grateful that there's no glitch or tick or hesitation there. So she's working on it, and practicing, and she's going to go out and start doing that. And that's her space.
Yep, that's so important. I think that's the key to a happy marriage, that everybody gets to do what they want, but then they come together and they support one another.
Absolutely. I think that is what it is about. Now, I mean, I see couples that are just with each other every minute, and that's fine, each to her own. But I think for many of us, we respect that space, and, oh, no, sorry, I'm not doing that, this, that, or I'm watching a football game, says the guy, you got to watch with me. No, she doesn't.
Right.
And I think more and more women particularly are learning that, and men are learning that.
Yeah.
Can I don't know, how are we doing on time?
We're still okay. Probably, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes or so.
Oh,
maybe.
Good. Well, if I may, I've written down some of Churchill's what I would call aphorisms, in other words, short statements about life, and I'd like to share some with you because, and again, both Anita and I really urge you to see this marvelous
Absolutely.
film. And filmically, too, I really want to emphasize that. Beautifully done.
Oh, it looks like maybe we don't have any more time. Wait, hold on 1 minute before we get started. We may have to do that for something else. Hold on. We'll see. How are we? Oh, yeah, it's over. Richard, thank you very much, and we'll get back to you another time and enjoy your poker tonight. Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.